Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. I'm working up something new today. Hello, welcome. Hi, Marla. Hello. I am working up something. I'm trying to be super fancy and do Periscope and Facebook Live. And Periscope is working. Facebook Live is telling me my connection is not strong enough. So hang on a minute because I'm trying. Hi, Forrest, welcome. I'm trying to get both of these going. I thought it would be nice to catch people in both places. So let's see if I can do it. Okay, I'm going to try again. You can listen to the music while you wait. Oh no, it's still saying it's not strong enough. What am I going to do? Thank you for sharing. We're going to talk about the how and why of doing an evaluation of your homeschool year. And so I feel like it's really important and it will help you so much going forward into your next school year. So I really want to tell you about it. And I don't know what to do about this Facebook problem. I actually have this thing rigged up where I've got two phones side by side and it does involve duct tape. Hi, Mama BB. So anyways, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, I think I'm just going to have to tell, hello, Praise Smith, having some technical issues here, so hang with me just a second, and I have a lot to talk about, and it's actually very organized, I hope. So, more music, hang on. Hang on, don't go away. And if you want to share, now's the perfect time because I'm not doing anything important yet. So yeah, it is good music, isn't it? Maybe start to restart it. I did. I'll try it again. I'm gonna let Facebook people know where they can come find me. So they can just come watch over here. Yeah, it just hates me. I don't know. Okay, I give up. Ugh, I hate it when technical stuff like this happens. I told all my newsletter people about this so that they could come join. But looks like, yep. Okay, so we're live on the web, so they can come watch over there. So I'm going to just give them that link, and then I'm just going to turn my attention to you guys. Okay? All right. Let me fix this. So you don't have like a, oh my goodness. You'd laugh if you could see all of my duct tape and little stacks of sticky notes that are holding up. Hello, Rosemary. Okay. We're just going to go with this. All right. Well, thanks for being here. My name is Erica Johns, and I'm the owner of enrichmentstudies.com, and that's a business that helps homeschool families incorporate more fine arts and other great stuff in their lives. In addition to talking about stuff like the arts, I also really like to just help other homeschool moms. Thank you for the hearts. I myself have 6 children, and we are just finishing up the 18th year since we started homeschooling. So we started when our oldest son was a kindergartner, and so here we are now. Our 3rd child will be a senior this coming year, and so the boys that I have at home right now are like 13, 14, 16, and almost 18. So, and then I have 2 grown-up kids. And so anyways, I've learned a few things over the years, and a lot of what I've learned is that there's no perfect answers to things, but I do have some things to share that I feel like would be helpful. And so I know right now, for a lot of us, the school year is winding down, or maybe you're already done. I'd be curious to know, are you finished or finishing, or are you a year-round schooler, or what? So if you tell me what you got. So for a lot of us, it's like when you're done, sometimes people are just like, they just want to nap. They just want to finally be able to, you know, you're finished. They want to be able to put in their garden, or, you know, clean out the schoolroom or the closets, or do some project that they've been putting off for the school year or something like that. You're finished too. Yeah, you're finishing on June 8th. You know, it's funny. I grew up in central New York, and you finish at the third week of June, usually there. And then once I got married, we moved to Kentucky, and everybody finishes in May. Your finish is May 1st. And then in our homeschool community, a lot of people are finished in April. So I'm like, what? But we're actually not finished yet. And I'm not exactly sure when that will be. You finished yesterday, 4 days before. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, early bird. Good job. We had a couple of setbacks. We had one of our children had a medical emergency that came up, and we had a lot of things that changed in our lives, and so we lost like 2 weeks adjusting and going through things like that and whatever. So we've had a couple of things. So we still have stuff to go, but that's okay. And even if you're a year-round homeschooler, this information will work for you. The point is that you need to kind of have a natural winding down point where you can reflect on how things are going. So to me, when you do an evaluation, it's like a gift to the future you. I read this thing on Facebook recently. It was Elizabeth Gilbert. She's the author of Eat, Pray, Love and some other great books. But she talked about, you know, when you do things now for yourself that you're actually going to really appreciate later, and you put in that little bit of effort now, the gift to the future you. And that is what doing an evaluation for your homeschool is. Not only a gift to the future you, but to your children as well. So just to kind of lay the groundwork here, back in January and February, your wife homeschools. Good. Well, maybe there'll be some good ideas here for you. And you know, I think this is actually a gift for the husbands too, because I think, like in my family, my husband is my sounding board. So like if things aren't going well, you know, he's the one that's hearing, you know, and I don't know what to do, and you know, this one's math is a problem, and I hate the science that we bought, or whatever is the thing, you know. Or just, you know, if you feel like you bought things and now they're not working or whatever. Husbands appreciate it if you've, you know, got a plan and you're moving forward confidently and calmly, and you know what's going to work for you. So it's a gift for everybody. So back in January and February, I did a couple of scopes about common issues that homeschool moms face. One I did was tips to avoid the winter blues in your homeschool. And I talked about the importance of being aware of the kind of stuff that happens typically in second semester in the winter. And of course, I'm sorry if you're a Southern Hemisphere person, I'm a Northern Hemisphere person, so I'm oriented toward a United States experience, but it's very common that second semester we get into winter, and it's kind of, you know, we don't have as much light and blah, and you have this natural slump. And I talked about the importance of planning ahead for second semester so that you can keep it fresh, fun, and different, exciting, inspiring, comforting, something special, because it can really get to be a grind. Now is one of the times when you're going to start to lay the groundwork so that next year's second semester is a win for your family. So, so that's one thing that this is going to do for you. Another chat that I did was called Feels Like the Wheels Are Coming Off of Your Homeschool. Here's what to do. And I talked about, especially this tends to happen in the winter too, but sometimes it's at other times of the year. Sometimes you just feel like your homeschool is tanking, and you feel like you've got to, you know, change it all. It's just, you know, nothing's working, and you're desperate. You know, we've got to fix something. Maybe you've been there. My rule that I talk about in that scope is no big decisions in January or February. What I do recommend, what I do recommend is that it's very, very valuable to take notes during the times when you feel like things are tanking, especially in the winter, and just write down, what are the issues that you're seeing? What are the concerns that you have? And then just let it ride and check back on those things during your evaluation, which is now. The third thing that I talked about in January was identifying and overcoming disempowerment as a homeschool mom. What I'm talking about is, like, in recent years, you tried to do mini evaluations every 6 weeks, and it was very helpful. Good, yeah. With the disempowerment, what I'm talking about is, a lot of times I see homeschool moms that are like, they're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. You know, they read about whatever particular philosophy or curriculum, and they got really sold on it, that this was the right thing, or it works really well for their friend, or, you know, their sister-in-law is having great success and all of her kids are geniuses or whatever, and you think you've got to do it, but then it's not working for you. And a lot of times people can get where they're kind of feeling trapped or stuck in a situation that isn't really serving you well. And again, if you do the evaluation at this time of year, it's going to help you avoid that. So, you know, when I think about the few, like, regrets, not like huge, terrible regrets, but when I think about the few regrets that I have about, like, kind of mistakes or mistakes with the direction of a homeschool that we made, each and every one is directly related to the fact that for whatever reason, I didn't do an evaluation, or I wasn't able to be mindful of what we really needed and where we were at. And so I got myself into a situation where then, you know, in the middle of the school year, it was like, what was I thinking? You know, this is not going to work for us at all. You know, we've done things like joining a program that wasn't a good fit for us, or signing up too early for a thing that sounded good at the time, but by the time the school year came around, it really wasn't a fit anymore. One year I had a child that was desperately unhappy and really needed a totally different option for their education, and I just kind of missed it. I just sort of coasted and assumed we would just keep doing the same thing, but that child needed something different. So, you know, all these things can be fixed. It's not the end of the world, but obviously it's nice if you can go smooth sailing into your school year, and evaluating will help you with that. Also, some of the biggest and most positive leaps and changes that we've made in our homeschool have been because I evaluated and I was mindful and I had clarity about the needs that we had. One year, when I wrote all this stuff down, I felt like we were all kind of fatigued. Although we had loved the curriculum that we had been using for a long time, it didn't have measurable accomplishments, and I felt like we were always just like kept going and going and going, but we never kind of got to a point where we were like, yay, we did this. My kids really needed friends. They didn't have activities where they were friends, and they were really lonely. I thought that they would benefit from having some sort of teacher in a co-op setting or something. I wasn't sure what. And I also thought that maybe we needed a little nudge of accountability. I didn't know how we would get those things, but I knew that those were our needs. And during the summer, I found something that fit, and we did something totally different. And it met those exact needs for us at that time, and it was great. But if I hadn't had that clarity, I probably wouldn't have been able to so confidently move forward with something radically different than we had done before. So, anyways, let's get started. You know, just like childbirth or whatever, we forget. And so, you know, I encourage people all throughout the school year to have some sort of way that you're keeping track of what it is that you're observing, what you're feeling, what the needs are, what problems you're coming up against. Because if you don't write it down and have a regular time when you are looking back on those things, they kind of pop up and you're like, oh my gosh, there's that gremlin again. You know, I forgot that this happens every time. So whether it's on paper, or you do a Word document on your computer, or, you know, I use notes on my phone because I won't lose them, and I can easily search through and look back and see. I use notes for ideas for, you know, curriculum that I want to check out for future years, and notes about each kid, all sorts of stuff. So you need to find a method that works for you. And so for this purpose, for your end of the year evaluation, this isn't something you're going to do in 10 minutes or even in an hour. It's a mindfulness that you'll need to work through, and you might get it done in a day or two. It might take you a couple of weeks. It's not a quick write-up like a report card, but it's more a situation where you really want to reflect kind of at your leisure, let things percolate, and really be honest with yourself about what's been happening. So I would say, I mean, you can do this in any order that you want. I'm just going to present in this order. But so first would be, think about the overall school year. How did it go? What was the general mood or mindset about your schedule, about your materials? And by the way, I'm going to write up a blog post, and I'll embed this video there. It'll be at enrichmentstudies.com/blog. Where's my little card that tells that? Well, burp, burp. Got to go through all my little cards. Here you go. Enrichment Studies. So if you later are wanting to go back and see this written down, I'll have it for you. And actually, I think I'm going to try to get a printable made up that you could use to print out and kind of guide you through this. So you can just relax and listen right now and come back later to the blog and get it so it'll stick for you better. But so how did the kids feel about the materials? And I would say even break it down, you know, how'd they feel about their math? How'd they feel about your history? Did you read any books? You know, how did they like those? Did they like it when you read out loud to them? Did they like it that you did audiobooks? Did they like the kind of science experiments you did? Were those fun? You know, yeah, whatever. Just write it down, all the stuff. You know, you can kind of just, you know, at the breakfast table or whatever, just be ready to write down the stuff and ask the kids. And write it all down. Even if they say, you know, it was boring, or the writing made my hand hurt, or, you know, the book is too heavy, just write it all down. Just ask them. You don't have to make a judgment about it. You don't have to do a solution for it right now. Just go ahead and get it down. What were the highlights of your school year? Did you have, you know, favorite field trips or activities, sports or events that they were involved in, you know, books that you loved, whatever. Let's write those down too. This isn't just about what went wrong, you know, what was working for us, what really resonated with your kids and you. What were the worst things? You know, was there a workbook that everybody loved to hate? You know, was a science textbook too boring or hard? You know, did they, you know, they had to get up too early and they were always tired, or, you know, whatever they say, write it down. Whatever you're thinking about or you remember, write it down. Also, you know, now's the time. If you were writing down notes during your winter blahs or at any point throughout the year, go back and read through those too. And it'll be interesting for you to see which of these issues that you were writing down persisted, which things resolved, you know, so that's always very encouraging when you see like, oh, you know, I forgot, I was so worried about, you know, my daughter, she wasn't reading well, you know, in October, but look at her now, you know, May, and she's doing great. You'll see things like that probably. So that's actually really encouraging and helpful to give you perspective, because we can, a lot of times I think as moms, we kind of jump from kind of one worry to another. So it's nice to see like, hey, we're winning, we did this. So, so go ahead and drink all that in too, anything that you've already written down through the year. Okay, the next step, number 2, you're going to evaluate each individual child. And yes, not just as a group, every kid as their own individual person. Oh, got a little thing there. So one side of this is your thoughts about your child. You know, what growth did you see? What needs do you observe that they have? Where did they really thrive? What got them excited? Where did they struggle? What material seemed to be their most favorite thing? What kind of character or attitudes are you observing? Are they tired? Are they unhappy? Are they sad? Are they lonely? Are they excited and turned on to learning? Are they, you know, eager to get outside and explore? You know, write these things down. Then write down, what do you think they need going forward into the next school year? And I'm just going to say, even if it scares you, write it down. Even if you're thinking, you know, he would probably do better with another teacher or whatever, it's just write it down, your honest, unguarded thoughts and feelings about what each child needs, what you'd like to help them with, all that kind of stuff. You can just go ahead and put it down. Just writing it down doesn't obligate you to anything, but get it down. And then also I would say take a little time to ask your child, what do they want for their upcoming school year? What would make them happy? What things are important to them? And I realize, with different ages of kids, you might get some, kind of silly answers or whatever, but I'm a big believer that kids deserve to have a voice in their educational path. This is, when kids are homeschooled, it's a huge responsibility, not only because we're providing them their education, but this is like their whole thing. They're home with you all the time. And I realize they're not like home all the time, but I'm just saying you're creating kind of their whole world. And it's really important for you to realize that your child deserves to be invested. And as they get older, that becomes more and more important. Nobody wants to feel like they're, stuck with something that they hate or that they're miserable with. And I realize that we can't always change things to make, an unhappy kid happy. But I think it's important for people to feel heard and respected, and for us to try to bring about things that are going to resonate with our children, that's important to them, that shows that their interests matter, that their aptitudes matter to us, and that we really want them to be happy and thriving. So, when your kids ask tell you what they think they want or whatever, write it down, and also, really be mindful and asking open-ended questions to find out a little more. So sometimes, maybe little ones will say, like I can remember once my little kids said that they wanted to go to school, to public school. And instead of, being all like, oh my goodness, well, that's not going to happen, I said, really? What do you think you would like about that? What it came down to for this little guy, he really wanted a lunchbox. He thought that would be the bomb. So, when it came down to it, he didn't actually want to go anywhere. He wanted that lunchbox. I got him a lunchbox, and he was happy. So sometimes it's not what it seems like on the surface. So lean in there and find out about that. Okay? So that's your kid evaluations. Next, you. Number 3 is check on you. I know it's crazy, but homeschool moms matter too, and how you're doing matters too. Write down, how did you feel about the school year? What was the experience like for you? Did you like the materials that you used? Did you feel comfortable using them? Did you feel confident? Were any of them, just like not user friendly, or you could never figure them out? If you participated in a class or a co-op or a group or whatever, were there some things, were those things helpful to you? Are there any things that you're doing that leave you feeling sad or judged or inadequate or whatever? If you have any of those kind of things that might be one of those disempowerment type things that are not building you up and aren't working for you, write it down, make that observation. Are you getting the things you need, like time and rest, water, exercise, food, time alone or time with friends? You need to, a lot of us moms, you have to kind of like block out the things in your head that start saying, you don't have time for this. Don't. Just let yourself be honest about how you're doing in those dual roles of mom and home educator, and get that down. Okay? Step 4, you got to let this percolate for a little bit. Once you're done evaluating all this information, you just want to give it some time to breathe. You don't have to have all the answers right this minute, and it's okay to not be sure what you're going to do about all this stuff. Welcome. Just, you want to give it some time. You want to sleep on it, give it some space. If you're a person who prays, add some prayer to this, and you will probably find that in time, you're going to start to gain some clarity and some inspiration for ways to address the things that you observed. Okay? So number 5, once you've had time to digest all this information, you're going to brainstorm. So there's where you're going to start to write down possible ways to address all this stuff. So this isn't just the negatives. So this is positives. You know, if you find that your child is just thriving with art materials, you're going to write down more art. Or if you had like a totally favorite thing but you only did it once, well, can you put it on the schedule for once a month? Or what can you do to like really invest in your kids and have something that you're just going to love? Write those ideas down. Also ideas for addressing any needs or issues. Do you need to figure out a different math for your kids, and start to figure out, exactly why doesn't this work for this child? What kind of thing do I need quite specifically? Do you need, would you benefit from the support or accountability of a co-op? Or do you need to pull back away from being involved in too many outside activities? Maybe you need a year that's more, like especially if you're like going to have a little baby or something, like maybe you need a year that's more peaceful and at home and not as much running. Maybe you realize, we need to start school a little later in the day and let everyone sleep longer. Maybe you need to get up earlier, or whatever. How can you build in the type of things that are going to help the school year next year? Also, you need to think about that second semester, the winter blues thing. How are you going to plan that so that you can avoid the winter blues, and so you keep things fresh and fun and interesting and keep your momentum going for your school year? Now's the time to think about that. And I'm going to do a scope about that in the near future. I'm not sure what day, but it's coming. So there's that step. So then from here, this is only May. So for most of us, if you're not starting school till August or September, step 6 is just let it keep percolating for a couple of months. I know that right now there's starting in April, there's all sorts of sales and a push to get people to buy curriculum for the next year. I've even been in programs that want people to sign on in February for what's going to happen in the coming school year. If you're not sure of what it is that you want, what the needs of your family are, or how you're going to meet them, don't buy anything right now. It's not worth saving 20% or whatever, for you to end up feeling bad about the money you spent on something you no longer want, or pressured to use something that isn't going to be a good fit for you. Just wait, okay? Because when we get to July, we're going to talk about this again, because we're going to take our, hi Audrey, in July, we're going to look back on this end of year evaluation, and we're going to look at all the ideas that we had, and now we're going to plan for the pre-school year, and this is where we're really going to zoom ahead. Here's what it's going to be. But give yourself that space. Also, especially if you have young children, they develop and change so rapidly. 3 or 4 months can be quite a lot of change. So give it that time. Don't feel like you've got to start buying anything. You'll be able to get the stuff in July or August. It's okay. So you'll be able to later just take these things that you've evaluated into consideration and form a plan that's going to be smart and that's going to fit the needs of your family and take you forward into a much more successful school year for 2016-2017. Can you believe that? So those are my tips. This is my information. You homeschool all year round. Yeah. Well, and so Audrey, I was saying earlier, I think this can work even for people who are year-round homeschoolers. You just need to have a point at the year where you where you're still, of an evaluative mindset, and, giving yourself a chance to figure out what does everybody need and how can we go forward and build and grow our success with our homeschooling. So, that's it. Do you guys have any questions or concerns or things that have worked for you? I'd be curious to know. I'm not going to belabor it too long. I was going to do this both on Periscope and on Facebook Live, and my Facebook Live just wouldn't cooperate, so I ended up just being on Periscope, but that's okay. I'll post it over to Facebook later and they can get it. But we are at facebook.com/enrichment studies if you want to come join us there. And let's see, I would love it if you would come over. I'd like to invite you to come over to see me on my site at enrichmentstudies.com, we've got composer study, artist study, art appreciation, presidents, inventors, scientists, all sorts of cool stuff that's really easy for your kids to use. It doesn't run on a lot of manpower and extremely affordable, and something that I created out of a need that I saw that my own family had. So you can go there, you can sign up to get free stuff on our subscriber perks membership, which is also free. So you can get a lot of things free to see what we do without having to buy anything first. You can see if it's a fit for you. So I've also got a blog there, and I love homeschool moms, and I love to try to share things that I've learned over the years. So I'd love to connect with you there. So let's see, you have homeschool 3 weeks. You feel the pressure to buy. Yeah, I think homeschool conferences are like that. I mean, it's one thing if you already know what you love and what you want, then, buy with confidence. It's okay. But I don't know, true confessions, I've never been to a homeschool conference. And one of the reasons is because I really do not like kind of the hype and pressure that comes from like a whole bunch of stuff coming at you at once. And years ago, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, I'm just talking about my personality for me. Years ago, I had a couple of years where some kids went to public school for a year or two because of some things that were going on with us. And when those kids wanted to come back to homeschooling, I said to myself, I learned a lesson about how overwhelming homeschool curriculum selection can be. When you're looking at all the different subjects times all the different grades and age levels of your kids, it's just, I guess I missed it, Audrey. I'm sorry. So it's just like, it's too much crazy. And for me, what I decided was to go with things that I knew that I already liked, which for us was Sunlight, my longtime favorite, and just to go with that. And then if I start to see problems or needs, then look for something very specific. Other than that, I don't look at other stuff because it's just a crazy maker. And I found that it would just always make me think, oh no, maybe I should have bought that other math because that looked really cool too. And, over time, what I learned is, no, I can teach my kids math without needing to, constantly question myself about, should I have bought this or that? It's just too much of a crazy maker for me. So I would just say, know what you need, evaluate, be honest. And if you're not sure, just wait. It's all going to be there later. It's okay. I promise you can get it in July or August or whatever. So, Audrey, what was your question that I missed? You mainly want to go, for puzzles and stuff. Oh yeah, well sure. You can always use another good wooden puzzle, or you know what I love? What is the brand name? Timberdoodle sells them. They're puzzles of all the different continents. We've got them all. Many kids for us. Yay! How many kids do you have? I have 6. So yeah, like puzzles and all the fun stuff, sure. And I think that a convention is a great place to be able to look at things and and get a really solid idea of what is this and if this would be a good fit for your family. So absolutely, if you're going to go to a convention, look at everything, but I would say just kind of, plan ahead. Depending on your personality, you may or may not need, to go in with more mental fortitude about it. But, if you're the type of person that's like just going to get all like buying crazy about stuff that later you might regret, know that about yourself and just set yourself some limits. But, sure, for all the fun extra stuff, get a, maps and puzzles and educational games or whatever. If you're a family that's going to use those, yeah, get those. So you're a DIY curriculum, but well, so there you go. So you know what you're about, Audrey. So you got this. Did I get your question now, or did I still miss it? Because I don't want to go without helping you with whatever it was you were asking. So anybody else have ideas or questions? I answered it. Okay, good. All right, you guys. The other thing is, if you join the newsletter, the subscriber perks membership, then you'll know when I have this post up and when I've got a nice printable or whatever there for you to help you. 6 kids, yay! Whoop whoop, half a dozen. How old are they? So anyways, you can come look for us there at the blog, and then you can see this in all its glory without having to try to remember all of it. But I hope that you'll try it. I really do think this is a helpful thing to do, you know, just is really worth your time and pays in dividends later on when you have a smooth sailing school year. And you know what, the other thing is, even if you end up, I mean, every school year is going to have its glitches. You know, there's always something. But at least, you know, later on, if you get into it and you're like, you know, oh, this didn't work or whatever, you'll at least know, you know, well, we picked this because of this, and I thought it would help with this, and it's, you know, it's okay. But at least you know it wasn't just like, you know, I didn't plan and I didn't know and I just bought this thing, you know. So, yeah, know what you're aiming for. All right. Okay, you guys, well, I'm going to let you go for now. What I do want to talk about next time, which I'm wondering when I will do that. I'm kind of tempted to do it actually in a little bit. Talk about planning now for next year's second semester to be more successful. So, maybe I'll get off and